Thomas! It's up for grabs now! Thomas!
Magic ball from Bergkamp to Patrick Vieira!
Oh, would you believe it? Oh, right, what a way to get it!
Fabulous solo goal by pierre-emerick.
Champions.
Shit afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the Arsenal Lounge. I'm saying it as it is today. Joined with our fellow guests and co-hosts, Shaheen. How you doing, bro? Is it even worth me asking? Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Oh, what? You're not even listening to me?
No. Just somebody sent a message. I was reading that.
We're doing a live show. Yeah,
sorry,
we're doing
man.
a live show. You're not even listening
it's
to me.
During work, so sorry.
I'm sorry,
good,
mate. I'm
good.
sorry to interrupt you, Shaheen, during your work. Yeah,
sorry, man. My apologies.
Like my afternoon can't get any worse. And welcome one of our regulars, and always got time for this lad, and he's passionate just like me. We're both asking for a cardiac arrest at a young age. Him a lot younger than me. The African Gooner. How you doing, bro?
Yeah, I mean, speechless, really speechless. That's when you tell your child, I'm not angry, I'm disappointed, and it's kind of that same old tale with Arsenal. I'm not upset. I'm not. I won't let my emotions get the best of me, because as fans, we don't deserve this, and we shouldn't be investing and being so reactive to a team that really hasn't given us anything. Not only this season, but the past few seasons. I know we won the FA Cup, but I mean, it's not good enough. So yeah, disappointed, and we'll get into it.
Well, thanks for having the decency to actually respond to my question, African. That's really kind of you, and you paying attention. That's the main thing. Shaheen, before we go on, you got any more work to do, or can we crack on?
I'm all right, man. I'm good.
You're all right, yeah? You tell your PA to wait, yeah? Okay, good. So welcome anyone who's in the chats. We've decided to do this to get a few things off our chests. I didn't even sleep really well last night. I'm not going to lie. I'm not even ashamed to admit it. But guys, what a terrible performance last night. I'm running out of excuses, and as you guys know, I've been one of Arteta's backers. I'm like, look, we've got to give him time, all this sort of thing. But I'm beginning to become sick of all the questions, the team lineups. Why are we missing so many chances? Why are we making so many basic errors? We're meant to be a Premiership top club, and we are making the worst errors I've ever seen. I have no confidence in our team when they're running through on goal. It's spreading. Even Saka's doing it. I've got no confidence in our back line holding out. Game management is something that Arteta's mentioned today. But guys, I'm going to say this, like, how do you expect to win a European tournament when we can't even finish our chances and we concede too many opportunities to our opponents? Shaheen, if you put down your file facts for a minute, tell me what your thoughts are.
Look, the biggest thing that at the end of the game yesterday that I reflected on was that a few years ago, we beat Slavia Prague 7-0 at Emirates. Last night, we struggled for a 1-1 draw. And that shows the decline of Arsenal Football Club. Just the squad then, there was a lot of question marks over a lot of players. Some of these guys are established internationals. I think the manager has to take certain degree of blame for yesterday's result. It's now becoming an overused excuse that he's learning on the job, because he's been here for 50 games. And I just want to know, what has he learned in 50 games? Because I don't see what he's learned in 50 games. Substitutions still questionable, wrong times. I think it was a wrong tactic. I watched his after game interview, and I just felt that he paid too much respect to Slavia Prague. He was talking. It was as if we lost to, I don't know, Bayern Munich or Dortmund or a proper established European team. Oh, they're a very good team. They put out Leicester. No, mate, we're Arsenal Football Club. This is Slavia Prague. What the fuck they've done? There is not even one player in the squad that I can spot and say, oh, I know this guy. I've heard of him or watched him. So he's a really... No. We just went out there. We didn't lay a glove on them until probably second half. Whereas I think we should have gone out there from the get-go and put them under the cosh and just attack, try. We've got 5 games to win the Europa League. I have no. We're gonna go now there with an away goal. You know, a task that was supposed to be easy. It's not hard because you've got to go over there and you've got to win, not concede. And we've got shit defenders, as you saw last night, that anything is possible. We'll discuss this on Wednesday. And I predicted a 3-1 victory for Arsenal. And you guys said you think they will score. And I told you guys, I don't think they will score. We will let them score. We will give an opportunity for them to score. Cedric, what was he doing yesterday? You're talking about professional football players. At the end of the game, xhaka is screaming at them, just clear the fucking ball, man. And he's right. Now, listen, we don't deserve to win this competition because this is Slavia Prague, man. On the other hand, you've got Roma, Man United, and Ajax, and we're supposed to have the easier running, and we're flopping like this. You know, it's now becoming very hard to defend Arteta. You know, I've always maintained this thing that he's inexperienced. He should never have been here in the first place. He's here now. After Christmas, he managed to get a tune out of a few players, but it's he makes very, very strange decisions. Like, why are we not seeing more of Martinelli? Every time he comes on, his energy, you know, his enthusiasm, he wants to do well, but then he's dropped. Bellerin comes out of nowhere with an armband. Aubameyang dropped. And then you bring Pepe. It's, you know, after 50 games, you would think that he would have learned. If people that turn around and say he still don't know his 11, after 50 games, you should know your best 11, man. You can't go. We're 10th. There's a reason that we're 10th, right? And these bunch of players are not good enough, granted. You know, Lacazette missing, 101. Saka missing, Aubameyang missing. These don't have anything to do with the manager, right? These are players who are not good enough. The manager works with these guys day in, day out to ensure things like this don't happen.
But how can we say Aubameyang's not good enough? Saka's not good enough. I mean, these are simple chances they're missing.
No, bro, Aubameyang hasn't been good enough. Yeah, but when was the last time we saw Aubameyang having a good game for Arsenal this season?
Then we're having a go at him for dropping Aubameyang. I can understand him.
I didn't have a go at him for dropping Aubameyang.
Yeah, but then he drops Aubameyang and brings in someone like Lacazette, who's meant to, like, you know, fill in for like.
My point with him was the tactics. We came in here paying respect to these guys. We're allowing them to settle in, play the ball. We're not really attacking. We're not really laying why? This is not a tactic of Arsenal Football Club quarterfinals of the European. We should every fan's mentality was that we should finish this now. We should finish this tie now at the Emirates.
Well, we deep down knew it wasn't going to happen. We deep down knew that we weren't.
Listen,
we have this habit of not finishing teams off. We have a habit of not finishing teams off.
3-1, and I expected at least like a 2-1, 2-0 kind of thing. Right? But for them to go out, Thomas Partey, you know, he's dropped standards. People say, but he's not fit, this and that. He's been here for almost, how many games now? He's been playing how many games? It's not me who's gone to Arsenal who's so unfit that he's trying to get fit. No, this is a professional footballer. So you got to look at that the manager is not really getting best out of Thomas Partey and so and so and so. He doesn't have enough people around him either to give him good advice. His coaching staff to turn around and say, you know what, we should do this or we should do that. Or I think, no, they're probably all in the same sort of standard. And I'll tell you something. There is a manager in Mikel Arteta, right? But it's not now. This is not the time or the place for him. It's not working out for him, right? And before he ruins his managerial career, I think he should have done what probably Ten Hag has done. He was Pep Guardiola's assistant as well. He went to a lesser team in Germany, built them up, and he's got a reputation now. You don't come to Arsenal with zero Premier League experience, with zero management experience in a club like Arsenal, full of expectations. And we're not in a good place either. Squad full of problems, players underachieving, overpaying, all of these things, and you bring in somebody who's zero experience. Of course, we are where we are.
African. Well, I mean, I reckon if I let Shaheen go on, he can go on, and I could probably do the same. But like, you know, yeah. I mean, what's your thoughts? I mean, I hear what Shaheen's saying, and some of it I agree with. But then at the same time, the other argument is, bro, like we created more than enough chances to end this game. So, what's your thoughts on what's going on?
Yeah, I mean, really, my thoughts is that, like, you know, previous ghosts are just coming back to haunt us. I think, you know, this is, again, a culmination of just mistakes that have been, you know, made by Gazidis, Arsene Wenger, Kroenke, and we have seemed to ignore these things, I think, in the last 2 seasons since Arteta has come. I think that, you know, we know the squad is not good enough. I think we've been riding our luck a lot, and people don't really realize that we have been riding this wave. And Aubameyang really saved us last season. You know, he got those goals and we won the FA Cup. And I think this season it's been Xhaka and Tierney. And now what's happened is that all, you know, these individual players that were really carrying the team are not able to put in the performances that we want. And now it's showing that we're actually a bang average team. We really are. I mean, we can't create. The tactics are absolutely abysmal. I mean, literally, you know, I wasn't expecting to beat Liverpool, but I also wasn't expecting to be embarrassed like that, right? And the only excuse I'll give is, okay, maybe we didn't want to fight. We were conserving energy. And I'm thinking to myself, okay, on Thursday, this is when Arsenal's going to show to the world that, you know, who we are. We're still a big club and stuff. And I was expecting us, you know, Arteta said every game is a final. Did that look like a final to you? Because it didn't look like a final to me. It looked like most of those players didn't give a flying you-know-what. And that was really disappointing. I think only until the 80th minute, that's when we realized, you know, holy crap, it's 0-0. We actually need to pick up the pace. And I think that's all on the manager. He waited way too long to make the subs. I know, Lev, you and I over WhatsApp were messaging saying, you know, where are the substitutions? It was so obvious. And this is not only now. I mean, even against Liverpool, the substitutions were left way too late. You're bringing on Martinelli in the last 10 minutes as if he's going to make an impact or even get a touch of the ball. I mean, so unfair. You know, yesterday he brings him on in the 70th minute. He comes on within 2-3 minutes. He has a shot that's deflected and that almost went in. I mean, that's the total difference between, you know, the young players we have and the senior players. And I think we're being a little bit unfair on Lacazette, because Lacazette has been scoring in the last 5-6 games. He has been, you know, on par with Aubameyang, and all of a sudden now he's lost his form in the last 2 games. He couldn't hold up play. He wasn't making runs into the channel. He was lazy. And to be honest, I know a lot of people saying, you know, when he was one-on-one, they felt like he wasn't going to score. I'm sorry, but I felt like he was going to score, because even a 3 out of 10 striker, even a Sonogo, a Gervinho, when you're one-on, like, I haven't seen a one-on-one like a chance like that for Arsenal in a long time. When have we ever seen, apart from Martinelli's goal against Chelsea, a one-on-one opportunity like that?
I can answer that. Aubameyang.
Oh yeah, okay. Well, that was similar. It was
same result. Same result.
African, bro. We're talking about a £45 million.
Yeah, I understand.
This should be a given.
But in training, they're scoring those. In training, they're scoring those, and this is where I think is the mentality.
They're only showing us the good bits. How many efforts have they made before scoring that?
I still believe they're scoring those in training.
No, they are scoring in training, but what's the point? Listen, you can be Lionel Messi in training, and then you can come when it matters and miss a one-on-one like this. What's the point?
All right, let me ask this. We had this, I think, African. It was on fan cam, I think, a few weeks back. Yeah, and I'm going to put this to you, bro, because we didn't want to cut you off mid-flow. But I look at that squad, and this is where Arteta's starting to lose me, right? I know that we needed time. I know we needed to change things from deep root issues. I get that. So that's why I was willing to give the man time. However, I look at this squad now and I compare it to someone like Tottenham, right? And I think personally, it's arguable that we have a stronger squad. If someone said to me, I personally think so, but that's my opinion, right?
Yeah, I don't either.
I personally think, like, if you look at that squad, it's nowhere near a 10th squad, in my opinion, or not the first 11 anyway. So he's starting to lose me. We've got more than enough to beat Slavia Prague. We've got more than enough to beat Burnley. 100%. We've got more than enough to beat Wolves. We've got more than enough. What is it that he's not doing?
The tactics definitely play into it, because we're way too slow. We're not proactive. I mean, we're not aggressive. And the way we played against West Ham in that second half, that's how I expect us to play every single game, right? And that is how I expect us to play in a quarterfinal in the Europa League when our entire lives are on the line, not only for this season, but I mean, even the future of Arsenal. And it's not like some of these players even care about the future of Arsenal, because clearly they don't. They don't realize the importance on this game as the fans do, because we understand we're not going to be able to buy the players we want if we don't make Europe, and we're going to be a laughing stock. But these guys still get their salary and stuff, and they clearly don't care if they're not playing in Europe next season, because if they did, they wouldn't have played the way they did last night, right? And for me, I think, Lev, I think you're overestimating the squad, man. I mean, yes, our first 11 is good, but I mean, if you look at our bench, it's just not good enough, man. And you know,
in depth, I agree. In depth, I agree.
Yeah, Leicester, Wolves, I mean, Aston Villa, all these teams have better teams than us, and it's so embarrassing to say that, but they just have so much more quality. I don't understand why we're playing so slow against Slavia Prague. As Shaheen said, like, why were we respecting these guys? You know, even if we went gung-ho and went all out for, like, under Arsene Wenger, and we conceded 2 goals but scored 5, no one would have complained, because we would have said, okay, 5 goals, we conceded 2, but these guys are not going to score 3-4 goals in the next game, right? And then what we're going to do now in the next game next week, and I strongly feel this, they're going to sit back, we're going to have chances on chances on chances, and then bam, sucker punch, they're going to get 1 chance, they're going to score, and it's going to be RIP Arteta. And again, look at all the heartbreaks, look at the history, look at, you know, how the fan base feels. Everyone yesterday, when that goal went in, it's just laughable, because you knew that was going to happen. And so next week, I wouldn't be surprised if that happens. We dominate the game. We have 80% possession. We hit the post 2-3 times, and then in the 80th minute, you know, they end up scoring a goal because we make a mistake. That's just Arsenal, and I don't know how much of that is on Arteta. I kind of feel bad for him, because I know he doesn't have players.
All of it, I would say all of it is on Arteta, because
I wouldn't say
you're
that.
the one. No. Listen, you set up a team to go out there, right? So I'll take you back mid-season, right? So Holding is making mistake. Gabriel was making mistake. People are making mistake defensively, right? What do you do as a manager? You don't pick them again and again and again.
I agree with you on that.
You
I agree
coach
with you on
them.
that.
You train them. If you
Well,
can't do it,
Why is he still playing Holding? Why is he still playing Holding?
hold on. Let me finish. If you can't do it yourself, then you speak to your board. You go out there and you go get a Martin Keown. You go get a proper defensive coach to come in and coach the fuck out of these players. What?
But
You don't do nothing about it. You keep.
we don't
picking
know.
them.
Maybe he's trying. Maybe he is. We don't know that, right? Maybe
If he's trying, he's not good enough then, because the same mistakes are happening over and over and over again, and nothing has been done about it. That's the problem. So then you need to look at the manager, right? Another thing, you guys you wanted to get rid of Kolasinac. Fine, no problem. Did anybody thought that if Kieran Tierney gets injured, we're fucked?
yes,
Should we not?
but
Before we getting rid of Kolasinac.
we're cheap. We're a cheap club. We always do
hold
this.
on. Yeah, I'll come to this. Before you get rid of Kolasinac, you know, have a backup. You know, if something happens, Cedric is a Southampton reject. Cedric walked away on a free transfer for some, because they didn't want to. What we're like, you know, yeah, let's bring him in. He's done okay to a certain degree at right back, but he's not a left back. You're playing a right back and a left back, and he's making mistakes and he's getting hammered. But you're a manager who's now involved in a transfer process. Remember, Arteta got promoted last year, right? So you basically got rid of your backup left back because not good enough, or he's on. Listen, I'll ask you something. If Kolasinac did what Cedric did last night, listen, everybody would have lost their shit over it, because it's Kolasinac and it's such a poor performance and this and that. But listen, for me, right, Arsenal at the crossroad now. And there's so many questions. Some of them, I hope Fabrizio will have some answers for us later when we have a show with him. But if we get knocked out, right, and we'll finish 10th or 9th or 8th, no European football next season, right? The income will be less. You can't then go and buy certain players that you would normally do. You've got £250,000 Aubameyang a week, right? That is not performing. Willian, 1/3.
300.
Well, Willian, 130, right? That is not performing either. And this season was supposed to be the one good season we could get out of Willian, right? What are you going to do with the manager? Right? So you're going to have to look at that and say, Arteta, right, you have not done what was expected, off you go. Right? Now, then the second problem starts. Who would want this job? You got a cheap board, you got a shit owner who's not going to give you a budget that you need in this modern day football, players who are average or below par,
Comfortable.
and who would? And if I was say an Allegri type manager, I would look at Arsenal and I'd be like, I'm not going there. I'm not going to put my reputation on the line because I'm going to go there with shit players, no money. It's going to be same sort of results, and I'm going to get the blame. So there is so many problems.
I want to say a few hellos to some people. Flo, how you doing, bruv? I know that you're still harping on about that Arteta out. I'm starting to join that club slowly but surely. Sonny, how you doing? Why not sentiment? How you doing? Courtney, time will tell. Victor, again, you're in the house. How you doing, brother? All of you guys, Duncan, all you guys are suffering like us. I mean, I just wanted to get this off my chest before we went and spoke to Fabrizio today because I don't want to go into negative speaking to him.
Listen,
but
it's very simple for me, Lev. We don't qualify, he's off.
Yeah,
but
he doesn't and I'll go one further, right? He doesn't win the Europa League, he's off.
I'm going to ask Fabrizio that today. If there's any mutterings, what happens next week? What happens if he goes out next week? How can we give him a war chest? How? Nothing
is. They're not going to sack him then. They'll probably wait till the end of the season if they have anything about him, that is, which I don't think they do. They'll sack him end of the season, and Kroenke needs to put his hand in his pocket, go out there, get a proper established manager who come in, give him funds to sort this club out, because if they don't address this, it's just going to get worse and worse and worse because Arteta is making the same mistakes over and over. Look at the manager from the other team. How many substitutions he made different times. But we have to wait until what? 70th minute.
Which he defended. He defended that, by the way.
Are you waiting to see what? You know what's happening in your you're waiting for a miracle. It's not working out. Willian is shit. Get him off earlier. Give yourself a chance, man. It's like as if he doesn't really, he's been told, listen, don't matter. This is a 3-year project. No matter what, you're going to get a job. So he doesn't really give a fuck about anybody or anything. Because a manager will be worried. A manager will be like, oh, listen, fans, they want to see Martinelli. Let me give them something. And I'll tell you something else as well. He's lucky there's no fans in the stadium.
100%.
Maybe we would have performed better. I mean, with fans in the stadium, there's a bit more on you, isn't there?
How many times have we turned around and said, he's lucky there's no fans in the stadium. The players are lucky there's no fans in the stadium. How many times we're going to say this?
So let me ask you this, guys.
It wasn't Lacazette's night. It wasn't Aubameyang. Unlucky. When is Lacazette nights? When is Aubameyang? When is our night?
What is it that's making them miss these chances? Firstly, I mean, this isn't the first time, guys. Like all through the season, we could argue that had we taken our chances. Oh, by the way, there's a few people saying R.I.P. Prince Philip in here. Yes, R.I.P. Prince Philip. Sad news. I'm not professing to be a huge royal fan, whatever it is, but at the end of the day, it is what it is. He's a human being, and R.I.P. Prince Philip. But anyway, moving back onto what we were discussing, I don't understand what's happening mentally that we're missing these chances, because you could argue that had we taken our chances throughout this season, we still wouldn't be in this position. You can look back to the Burnley games, the Wolves games, and various other games when we were on top and we didn't capitalize at the time when we were on top. And then eventually it's come back to bite us in the arse. And in European competition, you're only going to get a handful of chances. Well, not even a handful. Handfuls a lot. And we had a handful yesterday. And they fell arguably to the right people. They fell to Xhaka. They fell to Laka. They fell to Aubameyang. So what is going on there? And also, I'll put out there as well, what has he seen that's made him decide he's going to keep that central defensive partnership when Holding's already been beaten in the air by the smallest midgets on the pitch? Sterling against City got beaten in the air, the other day against Jota. What is he seeing? And on the ball as well. I mean, obviously he played Saka in a couple of times. There was a lot of space for him to run into, but final third, awful. Bellerin, awful in the final third. Saka, awful in the final third. Partey, for me, started like, I was so excited about Partey. I don't know if he's not fit or if he's still adjusting, but this was European football. No excuse there. Willian, non-effective. Lacazette missing chances. What is going on? Like, African, tell me, help me, man.
Yeah, I think it's a couple of things. I think first of all is confidence. I think the confidence is low, and secondly, the confidence is low. We've been losing, and as I said, we've been riding our luck. I mean, we've been struggling to score, we've been struggling to create until we brought ESR and Xhaka. And I mean, once they're out of the team, it was back to the usual stuff pre-Christmas. I think the second thing is mentality. And I think the third thing is consistency, and the flow. When the team is confident and has a flow with the same players, the understanding, we don't have that free flowingness to our game. I mean, you see it in small patches, but overall in the whole team, I don't think the team trusts each other. I mean, remember when we were talking about Pepe laying it on the plate for Aubameyang? There's no trust there. If you trust your player, and also if you're not selfish, you make a pass there. A lot like yesterday, if Gabriel passes it to Leno, he boots it out. But how many times has Leno made mistakes when we've been passing out the back? How many times has xhaka made mistakes? How many times has David Luiz made mistakes? So, naturally as players, I don't think they even trust their own, teammates. And that's definitely a problem for us. But I mean, one-on-ones and open nets, I mean, there's no excuses for that. I think it's just bad quality. I can't make any excuse for that. It doesn't matter how confident or not confident you are. As I said, one-on-one with the keeper, even Sonogo, I'm thinking he's going to score. Or even the Shamak, any Bentner, any of our crappiest strikers, Giroud, they're finishing that. I mean, he had so much time. All he had to do was round the keeper, man. I mean, I don't even know what he was trying. Why was he going so high?
There's people in the chats that are saying, "Oh, it's not about mentality. They're just not good enough." I don't buy that, because these are bread and butter opportunities. Anyone, as you rightly said, anyone will score these in the Premiership. You would expect anyone to take these chances. This is not about them being good enough. I mean, yes, overall perhaps, but not when it's one-on-one or gilt-edged chances. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Lev, listen.
Yeah.
I just want to, before I go into this, I just want to say thank you to everyone who's watching us. If you're new here, please subscribe to our channel.
Please do.
Don't forget, 3 o'clock today, we're going to have the Fabrizio Romano show. Please come on. Ask your questions in the comments. We'll ask him as much as we can. Maybe we can get some clarity on the Arteta situation from him as
time to have him on.
Please don't forget.
It's perfect time to have him on after this result.
Listen, for me, for people who've been involved in football club setups, the mentality, right, and the aura of the team, it comes from the manager and the coaching staff, right? You see, Diego Simeone, his teams are fighters. Right, they'll fight. They'll go out there. They don't take shit. They fight because it comes from him. Because he's a fighter. Because he's got a strong personality. Right. Arteta has come in here. Mentality. He worked with Pep Guardiola, but it doesn't make him a good manager. He hasn't done. Yeah, he's won the FA Cup, but Arsenal Football Club, our standards is not just winning an FA Cup and then finish 10th for the next season. It's poor. It's not good enough. And you've got to see. People say, I don't know, there's some people in the fan base that they bend the rules for Arteta. I don't know why. Football is a results business, right? If you look at the end of the season, I'm not saying now, end of the season, you look back on a season and you look at the manager's performance. In every business, everybody has got reviews, right? You look at manager's performance. Out of Carling Cup, out of FA Cup, we'll probably finish 9th, 10th, 8th, something like that. I don't think we're going to go past quarterfinal, maximum semi-final. Unai Emery will be rubbing his hand waiting for us, man. So you're going to look at this out of everything. Even if he wins the Europa League, right? I'll still look back on it and say, we can't afford to have another season. Now that we've won the Europa League, we can go to the Champions League. So let's go out there, get a good manager who can build from there. We can now go and attract players. We can get some more money. We can get a manager. Let's do that now. But it's not happening. The way he talks, the way he comes across is like he's very assured of his position, which is worrying for me.
Yeah.
Good point. Yeah, he does look confident, doesn't he?
I was going to say, just following up on Shaheen's point, absolutely right. That's the winning mentality that you're talking about, right? And it comes from top down, right? I mean, it should be coming from Kroenke down to, Vinay, down to Arteta down to the players. And I just want to make a point. I mean, if Sanchez was on that pitch last night, I think with that draw, he'd be on the floor crying and smacking the ground, thinking to himself, how didn't we win this game? I mean, even missing chances, he'd cry about it. And that's the type of player that we need. I mean, I'm hearing that Pepe switched shirts with one of the players after the game. I mean,
who have they got to switch shirts with? I mean, who have you got at Slavia Prague that you want to have in a frame in your living room?
We asked him, but I mean, still, right? I mean, it's just appalling. That's just the mentality of this team. And I also wanted to say I feel really bad for Pepe because I've been on here and I've given him some criticism, and I did say, remember, Lev, I'd give him a couple more games. He hasn't been getting the game time, but yesterday when he came on, that was the perfect response. You can't ask anything more from him. He came on and he scored the winning goal, and I feel really bad for him because that big moment for him has been, shoved under the carpet now because of the result and because his team let him down. And that's unfortunate.
I mean, there's people in the chat. I mean, why not saying it's the Tierney injury screwed us? Yeah, great. I accept Tierney's a massive plus for us, and he gives us a lot, brings a lot to us as a team, going down the wings, putting the ball in early, great delivery, direct. I agree, but come on, this is Slavia Prague. Yeah, let's put things into context here. I know that smaller European teams have improved. I accept that. But at the same time, we are Arsenal. And, I've watched TalkSport going at us. I've seen everyone going at us, and everyone's just waiting for us to fail. And we keep delivering. And this is my concern now. The way that we play as a team, it's like an endless cycle. You think there's a change, and then suddenly there's a result like the Spurs game. We were all buzzing. Since the Spurs game, we've not won a game. Right. And then suddenly we're starting to make the old mistakes again. And the way this cycle goes for me is generally it's happened in the past with Olympiacos and teams like that. We don't finish these teams off and it comes back to bite us in the arse. And this is what I'm worried about in the second leg now. Not because they're a better team than us. This team have not lost at home all season. They're confident at home. They took Leicester, they've beaten Leicester over 2 legs. So that should have made us think, right, we're not going to take this easy, right? We're going to finish this team off here and now. And let's be honest, as bad as we played yesterday, we had the chances in a European tie that you don't expect to get. Not 1, not 2, but 3, possibly 4. Yeah. And you'd expect to have been 2 or 3 up. Even if they had scored in the last minute, you would have gone, oh, it's 3-1. We'll still take that. We'll still take that away with us. Yeah.
It all comes to this, right? I'll challenge both of you now, and everybody that is on the chat. I don't know the answer to this question, so I'll challenge you and everyone to please answer me. What is the process we're supposed to trust? Because I don't know what it is. I can't see anything.
I'll also ask them very quickly before you answer, African. You want us to ask questions today, drop them in the chat. And if there's any ones that stand out for us, we'll drop them to Fabrizio later on.
I've asked everybody to DM us on Twitter.
Send them, boys. Send them, guys. Send them.
Shaheen, that's a good question. And I mean, I'm not saying that I know the answer, but I think from what I can see, and, if I'm going to make an excuse for Arteta, I think the game plan is really to just make it through and hope that one of our star players like Xhaka, Aubameyang, Lacazette, Odegaard, or someone has a spark of magic and gets us through games. And I think he's really holding on to a thread. I think he's waiting for the summer transfer window. And I hate to say that, but I mean, I feel like he doesn't have the squad. He's waiting to get all the players that he needs, because I can't believe that this is the type of football that he wants to play. There's no way that this is what he wants.
I'll agree, for argument's sake. I agree with what you're saying. Yeah. I'm now a member of the board at Arsenal, or God forbid, I'm Stan Kroenke.
Yeah.
Okay? Now, what is the manager doing for me to turn around and say, right, this guy's done something, I'm going to give him the money? If this was last season, that was different, because I would look at this and I'll be like, right, this guy's just won me the FA Cup, so let me invest.
But you have to look at it the other way, Shaheen, as well. What is the owner doing for Arteta for him to stay at the job? If Arteta was a real coach with pedigree, he would be questioning the owner, saying, "What are you giving me to show you? Because I can't just come."
That's the problem. African. You know why? Because Arteta is a yes man.
Yeah, I agree.
They've come on his door. He has not managed in one Premier League game. Now, out of a sudden, they're like, come and manage Arsenal. right? So he's now coming. He's not going to question the board. He's not going to question that. He's not going to rock the boat. He's not going to turn around and say, I'm going to sell you guys out to the press and fans if you don't give me the money. They're going to tell him, this is the money available. Yes. They're going to tell him, right, you want Osama? Sorry, we're going to get you Thomas Partey. Okay. You want, I don't know, XY? Sorry, we can't afford it. You want money? We can only do 50 million.
Well, it's a catch-22. You're not getting Champions League football. You can't get the best players either, and you don't have the money. I mean, very quickly, Africa. I mean, I was really looking forward to the Fabrizio show today, asking about transfers, hoping that we had a great result last night, and thinking to ourselves, "Oh, we need to add a few." My biggest question now, and it says it all about us right now as a club. My biggest question for him today will be, what happens if we go out next week?
We know what's going to happen. Nothing is going to happen.
Right, listen, there is no excuse if we go out next week, and I'm going to say this, and everyone knows who's been watching our show that I've been a supporter, you know, of Arteta. I wanted to give him time. I understand it was a big job, but now, for me, if he goes out next week, there's no excuse to keep him.
No, listen, if he goes out next week, nothing is going to happen. Fan pressure will start to build, and they'll probably get rid of him at the end of the season. As I said, again, if they have anything about them, they will sack him. Listen, I'll go one step further. If he doesn't make it through, they need to start interviewing people. So when they sack him, 1, 2, 3, 4 days later, there's a manager in place. I hate to say this, but look how Daniel Levy did his business. Pochettino gone, 3 days later, Mourinho in.
That wasn't the best decision, though, was it?
Well, I'm not talking about the decision. I'm talking about the process.
All right, and Chelsea, in that case, Chelsea, they won the Champions League.
I'm not talking about the what happens, the process.
Yeah, I hear what you're saying.
You sack, like Frank Lampard, they saw Thomas Tuchel, right? I'm sure they spoke to him. He's like, yeah, I'm up for it. Boom, Lampard gone, Tuchel in.
What, so Matteo won the league.
Unai Emery,
Matteo won Champions League and got booted.
We get rid of Unai Emery for not being good enough, and then we put Ljungberg, and then we start pissing about, and then we send one of our directors 12 o'clock at night to Arteta's house. Like, who does business like that? There's somebody saying, bring Nagelsmann in there. Yeah, these are all good names, man. But if you're Nagelsmann, you're going to look at Arsenal and you think, do I really want to go there? No money, below average players, shit owner. I'm going to ruin my reputation.
I have 3 points. The first point is Rafa Benitez is available, and I don't think that he'd stick up his nose at Arsenal. I think he'd be an interim manager. If we get knocked out next week, I mean, he needs to go. He should be fired immediately, in my opinion. He shouldn't even do a post-match conference. I think that's it. I mean, either he resigns straight away or he gets fired the next day. That is the ultimatum for me, and I think Rafa Benitez would be a perfect replacement to just carry out the rest of the season and then see if he can do something next season, because I don't think we'll be able to. If we don't make Europe next season, we won't be able to attract any top
you're
manager.
Talking about keeping Rafa Benitez for next season?
Yeah, I think so. Give him interim and see next season in the first 6 months until December how he does. I mean, listen, Lev, we really can't be picky. We don't have many options. The second thing I wanted to say is, how stupid do we look now that Guendouzi and Torreira have been loaned out? Tomorrow, and Saliba. You can't tell me that in yesterday's game, none of those players could have impacted the team. Guendouzi would have taken that game with the scruff of his neck, and he would have tried his heart out to make something happen. I think Torreira would have done the same. And then the third thing is, even if we win next week, I think Villarreal and Unai Emery is going to put Arteta in his grave. It's going to happen. There's no way that we are going to beat
Unai
Villarreal.
Emery will be well up for that.
Listen, even Unai Emery wasn't good enough for us. All those people saying, "Oh, we should have kept."
He did better than Arteta.
No, I'm sorry, he still wasn't good enough. Maybe you could say that. Yeah, you can say that, right? 100%. But even for me, even he wasn't good enough. We're not. We're shopping at Lidl's when we should be shopping at Harrods.
Yeah,
right?
You're right. But that's the problem that I've been saying from the beginning of the season, that lies firmly on board and the owner, because at the end of the day, right, you've approached an assistant manager of Man City, and he's not going to say no to the job. He didn't give himself the job. He didn't promote himself after 1 year. Somebody thought somewhere in Arsenal setup that this is a good candidate, somebody with no experience whatsoever. He's a good candidate. Well, you got Allegri and you got people like that. They're not really good enough, but he is good enough.
No, Allegri is good enough.
And that's the
more money.
Because the same person who made this decision is going to be the same person who's going to make a decision of who's going to replace Arteta, and it's going to be another shit decision.
Yeah, this is what we were arguing
That's
on
the
our
problem.
show continually. You know, and the bigger accounts and the bigger names who've been doing it for, you know, the Turkishes and all these sort of leagues and all these type of people. We can keep going on about managers and we can keep changing managers, right? But at the end of the day, if the problem is further up the ladder and they're being tight and they're still shopping at Lidl's, we're still going to go and buy that £1 sack of apples. You know, like, it doesn't really matter. It's a far deeper rooted issue than the manager. You could keep giving it. You could go and get Simeone. You can go and get Allegri, but if you're not going to give him the money to make changes,
listen, Lev,
it's pointless.
You know when they got rid of Unai Emery? I just, before I said that, I just want to give a shout out to Ryan here from the Mr. Arsenal podcast. If you haven't followed him, go follow him. It's a good podcast. Listen, you know when they got rid of Unai Emery, right? You remember that day that Mourinho was sitting next to Raul Sanelli at the Emirates, right? They were having conversations about him becoming an Arsenal manager. I can guarantee you, yeah. And Mourinho, he either declined or he chose Tottenham instead, right? That shows you we don't have a lot to offer, right? So Allegri is a top manager. He's been out of business, yes, fine, but he's a top manager. He's, you know, people now. Arsenal is not the club that it was when Arsene Wenger left. When Arsene Wenger left, Arsenal was still Arsenal. It's not anymore.
Well, this is a good point.
People
was
look
made.
at this now.
Sorry to interrupt,
Yeah.
but Kunde made a good point while you're saying that. Who are we anymore? You used to walk into the marble halls. We were the Arsenal, right? And there's some people in the chat and Andy Bro saying we're a small club. We're not a small club.
I was actually mentioning this a few weeks ago, Lev, but I forgot.
Go on.
We left Highbury, right, to come to Emirates to compete with the bigger clubs when the financial rules kick in, right? So what's happened now? They got rid of the financial rules and then we fucked.
Yeah, well, we knew that was going to happen. It was a clever idea.
With anybody.
It was a clever idea.
Got close to anybody. And now we're stuck. We're in a position where none of the elite. Let's be honest, guys. We're all Arsenal fans here. We all love our club, but let's be honest. None of the top managers is going to come to Arsenal.
Yeah, right? and none of the top players.
Not unless we sell. Not unless we sell to somebody else.
No, the top players and the top managers are not going to come to Arsenal because we don't have a lot to offer. We don't have
Liverpool were in a similar situation to us a few years ago. They hadn't won the league in ages.
Who?
Liverpool.
But they put the money at the right time.
Yes, but it can change. That's my point. It can change.
Lev, people could see something with Klopp and this and that. There was something happening. What the fuck do you see now with Arsenal and Arteta?
Nothing.
You've got a leaderless club. You've got a bunch of average players. You've got Gabriel and Partey, who you can argue, since they've joined us, they've declined on standards. They're less of a player that they were, right? You've got people like, I don't know, Bellerin, who comes out with bullshit comments and then he's missing, and then out of a sudden he comes back with the captain armband. You have the Ozil Sega that was going on, Mustafi, all of those things that was happening. These are all
which we now potentially have an Aubameyang saga as well. Can you just mention Tahir Qureshi?
Yeah, Tahir Uber the taxi driver.
Yeah, he's becoming the taxi driver.
You see, he mentions Aubameyang, right? You got your club captain that is late for North London derby, right? And then you think, right, okay, he's dropped. Next one, he's going to put in a performance. He doesn't. Next one, he's going to do it now. He doesn't. Next one, and then he's dropped again.
Well, you could say that about a lot of players, African, can't you?
Yeah, no, I was going to say, Shaheen, we also have to be a bit fair because I mentioned this earlier. Imagine Aubameyang making runs, playing, out of his skin and carrying in this team. At a certain point, you get sick of all the crap around you. And this is something that has been occurring with Sanchez, Fabregas, Van Persie. I mean, this has been a culture at Arsenal for so long that we haven't gotten rid of. And it's happening with more of our players.
I agree with you. You see, you're not a football expert. You don't have a football licensing coach. I'm not expert either. But me and you can see this. A manager, he doesn't see this. He knows Aubameyang is shit as holding a ball up. Aubameyang's game is you play the through ball. He's going to outpace the defender and he's going to score.
There was plenty of spacing behind yesterday. There was plenty of space in behind yesterday.
I want to say that our midfield is not strong enough. You know, people say, why is Lacazette playing at centre back? The problem is, again, that there's no trust in the team. So the way Arteta sets us up is play all 11 men behind the ball, because I don't trust my own defenders to defend. So what happens is we sink so deep that when we get the ball, we can't do anything with it because everyone is literally behind the halfway line. And that's the problem with us. We literally do not have players playing in the right positions. I mean, how is Lacazette playing at centre back? I mean, that is disgraceful, right? And that's because Arteta doesn't trust his team. It's clear to see. There's no other reason for me why Lacazette is playing centre back, is because he doesn't trust xhaka, he doesn't trust Partey, he doesn't trust Holding, he doesn't trust Gabriel, so he gets Lacazette to be an extra man at the back just in case. And then if we do get the ball, there's no one up front to get it, right? I mean, we're shit. We're shit.
But we should have the ability to adapt, though, African. Okay, we could say that Odegaard was a massive loss yesterday, right? He was.
Huge.
And so was Tierney. But Odegaard in particular for me, because he would have kept the ball ticking over, he would have kept possession, especially with the likes of Partey there and Emil Smith-Rowe as an outlet. And, we had a decent enough front line. Tahir says, when you bought Arteta, you dropped your standards. I don't know. Well, we've dropped our standards for a little while now. But my point is this. You should have the ability to adapt. So, okay, maybe we didn't have our best midfield out yesterday. Right, I agree, right? And I would have played Mario over Holding any day of the week, by the way, from what I've seen. But there was clearly a space between the fullback and their centre-back that Saka was exposing time and time again. And there was plenty of space in there to play the ball through. And even Holding was picking that pass out. So, and he's not our technically best player. Well, yeah, but he did a few times. He put Saka through a few times yesterday. You can't argue that. He put Saka through on goal. Saka should have scored. He put Saka through a few times, and Saka in the final third let us down. And Bellerin let us down in that final third. So you could argue that, yes, okay, when you don't have your best players, but then you should adapt and find the team's weakness. And let's be honest, Man United as a team are not the best team. You look at them, they're 11. It's not the best team, but they're playing as a team. And they're grinding out results and they're finding ways to win regardless. We played them off the park when we played them last, right? But still, at the end of the day, they're up there. So this group of players is a massive problem for me. But Arteta now, if he goes out if we go out next week, I can't defend him anymore. It's as simple as that. It's done for me.
For me, at the end of the season, they need to review this because he's going to finish 10th or 8th or 9th or something like that at best, right? So they're going to review his position. I just want to tell everybody, if you don't know by now, in about 2 hours' time, 3 o'clock UK time, we're going to do a show with Fabrizio Romano about Arsenal. We're going to talk about Arteta's position, his job security, etc. If you want to ask a question, please DM us on Twitter, and we'll ask him as many questions as possible about Arsenal transfer plans, Arteta, where he stands, what's the thought process of the owner, all of these things. So don't forget to join us at 3 o'clock for that show as well.
Oh, Lemmy's come up with a massive point, and he's a Liverpool fan, by the way. Thanks for joining us, Lemmy. As a Liverpool fan, we were lucky to get Klopp, who changed the mentality of the club. At the moment, is not looking good, but in Klopp we trust. And look, massive point there, Lemmy. When we had the chance to make a tough decision, we chose hearts over our heads. We could have got rid of Wenger, and we could all see as fans. I remember going to Emirates week in, week out as a season ticket holder. We'll talk about Klopp would be ideal. Dortmund, the lack of funds, but they're still managing to find the right players. They've got great scouting system and a manager that's making the most. And this was at a time where Bayern Munich were extremely dominant. Not the Bayern Munich now. This was Bayern Munich before, and he was challenging with them. Very much like what Simeone's done in La Liga against the odds when you had the top Barcelona and Real Madrid sides. He was competing, and he was very unlucky not to do the double. Win the Champions League and the league, I think. He was very unlucky. So it can be done on a budget, but you need the right people. And where we really went backwards was keeping Wenger, letting Klopp go to Liverpool. And look what Klopp's done for Liverpool. Yeah, they've had a iffy but season, but you can't argue what he's done there. And you would trust him for next season. So we had in Wenger, we rust. But now we got in Arteta, we rust in the process, perhaps.
But Lev, I wouldn't be surprised if they had worked with Arteta, with Klopp back then, and still what was on offer. It was not something for him to be part of. You never know that.
They also had collateral to sell.
I think Arsene Wenger's worst time as an Arsenal manager still a lot better than what's happening now.
Yes, agree. But it was the fact that he overstayed and passed over a squad that was not at its best. It was a terrible squad to pass across. We had cheap players that we kept on buying, quick fixes. And because he stayed so long, we didn't even have any collateral to sell on. We didn't even have any good players to sell on. Liverpool had Coutinho, and that sparked off their purchasing. Sorry, African. I know you want to say something, bro.
Yeah, no, I was gonna say 14 games without having a clean sheet. I mean, this is such a joke. It's such a joke. And we've been saying that defensively we were better. And I want to mention that we were playing better defensively. We had a spell where we weren't conceding and we were doing really well. And then it's all come back and fallen into our face. And I want to say, first of all, do between the three of us, do any of us believe that even if Arteta loses, that he's actually going to get fired, right? I think the answer is no for all three of us. The second question is, if he does get fired, you know, it's going to be the same old thing. Josh is going to come out saying, oh, we're going to spend money, be excited. He's going to rephrase that entire thing in a different way, basically saying we're going to put money, we're going to fix the club because there's going to be pressure on him. And we're going to go through this cycle again and again and again until we spend the money like a big club. We will continue this cycle in a different way, but we will continuously face the same cycle. And that's what I was talking about, the heartbreak. You know, it's just a different day, same chapter, same story. We just keep reading the same book over and over. It doesn't matter how many players we change. I mean, we keep changing only a few players with crap players. It doesn't matter what manager. They're still going to make the same mistakes. We completely need to change this team. I think there are only 3 or 4 players. If we're being honest between the 3 of us, we need 10, 40 to 50 million pounds quality players to even take us to, you know, competing for top 4. Forget about Premiership. To even compete for top 4, we are so far off. And if this owner doesn't do anything, I mean, listen, like, I want to be more angry and stuff, but I'm tired. And I know you guys are. We're so tired. You know, we love this club so much. We've invested so much emotion in this team, but we're so sick and tired of seeing the same crap. I spoke to my mom and my parents last night. I was watching the game in my room, and I walked into the sitting room, and my parents asked, what was the score of the game? And I told my dad what happened, and he said, expected. And you know what my mom said? 15 years and you haven't learned. And I said, Mom, you know, I'm stuck with Arsenal for life. I mean, it's not in my power. I can't change anything. And I love Arsenal, and I'll always be with Arsenal. But even my parents who don't watch games have seen me growing up with the same old story. And that was a huge telling tale for me last night, that we haven't changed a bit. In the last 10 years, it's been exactly the same crap over and over again.
Quick question I'll put out there, because I think we're coming to an hour and we still got the other show to prepare for. So, but a quick question I'd like to ask you guys and people in the chat. Hypothetical, right? Let's say Arteta takes us to the Europa finals. Let's say he does and wins it and gets us into Champions League. On the showing that he has, on the showing on the Premier League, what do you do? Because personally, I think someone like Abramovich would still sack him and say, thanks. What would you do?
I would.
Guys in the chat as well. So Shaheen, you would, yeah?
For me, I'll look at our season is not a Europa League final. Our season was over a certain amount of months and 38, 39 games. And that's what he needs to be judged on. If he's managed to finish 10th and 9th and he's won the Europa League and he's on the Champions League, I as an owner or a board member, I'll look at this and I'll be like, right, I've got a dangling carrot to attract a good manager now. Because we're now in the Champions League. So it's a good opportunity for me to get rid of a manager who's had a season and a half or 2 seasons and hasn't really done what we thought. It hasn't worked for him. He might go and start in a lesser club. And then, you know, as I said, he might end up being a good manager. There is a manager in Mikel Arteta, I have no doubt. Just not at Arsenal. It's not working it was not working out for him at Arsenal. There's a lot of expectations and pressures here. I'll get rid of him. I'll go get a good manager, and it's a good opportunity to build from there.
Maury Memento said in the chat there a massive point. He would do the same as you, use it as leverage to get a better manager. African, what would you do if he goes ahead and somehow miraculously we don't miss millions of chances, don't concede silly goals, and we win what would you do with that with Arteta?
I mean, first of all, if we win, it'll be super. It would be miraculous, and I think the fan base would be overjoyed, and then we'd be blinded. But I agree with Shaheen because I'm also ruthless, and I don't accept mediocrity. This is bullshit. What we're seeing, I would agree with Shaheen. We'll have the money, we'll have the pedigree, we'll have some more pulling power to really reset, and we'll go in the Champions League with a new manager and stuff. But I don't think that they're not going to fire him. If he wins, he technically has achieved his goals for the season, right? It was to get us to the Champions League. And based on that, they will say that they can't fire him. And that's not what I want, Shaheen. I'm just putting it.
That's fine. No, I hear you. But then again, he's got to answer for what we don't really have a style of play. That football on show is not really attractive.
Now that we're in the Champions League, I have money to buy the players that I want and stuff. And if he doesn't in the next, in the first 2-3 months of the next season, if he still has the same failures, then I would say they would fire him. But I don't trust them to fire him.
You see the problem with that, yeah? If he goes and buys a couple of 2 or 3 players, they give him their money and everything is cushy, right? He goes out there and 2-3 months is same as what's happening now. They pulled the trigger, right? For argument's sake, right? Let's say Allegri will walk in and he'll be like, I don't fancy half of these players.
No, I disagree, Shaheen, because if you buy a top quality player, I don't care who the manager is. Listen, if we buy Jack Grealish, you think any manager is going to put their nose up at him? It doesn't matter.
You are 100% spot on. There's only one problem. We're talking about Arsenal Football Club. They're not going to go and buy a 2 or 3 of Jack Grealish kind of players.
No, but that's our point, right, Shaheen? That is the type of players that we are expecting as fans, and any manager that comes in can make something happen with a Sanchez, with a Son, a Harry Kane, all these top players. But yes, if you buy a Torreira and a Guendouzi, of course a manager is going to come in and be like, nah, I don't even rate this player. No experience. I haven't seen him. I don't rate him, right? But if you bring a top player, we shouldn't have that issue. But as you said, I mean, it's Arsenal, so there's no trust that that's going to happen ever.
Oh, guys, I'm going to promise to end this. Yeah, go on.
About Thomas Partey, I know he had a really bad game, but I think people are overreacting on it, and let's give him a bit more time because what we saw yesterday was not Thomas Partey. That was somebody else because I've never seen him play that bad. So I would say hold off on the criticism. Yes, some criticism is fair, but give him a couple more games. He's also playing with xhaka and ESR compared to what he was playing with. He was playing with really solid players, and now he's in a team that's an absolute mess. There's no stability in our team, and that definitely is rubbed off on him. So I would say hold off on Partey. I'm not saying he didn't have a bad game. He had an awful game, but I think he'll come good.
No, I agree with you on Partey for the moment.
But then again, it's down. Lev, is it not down to the manager to get the best out of him?
You could say that, but then look, look, when you cross over that white line, no matter whichever way you want to look at it, and I played semi-pro, I play a decent level. The manager could tell you as much as he wants what to do. You could practice it all day in training, every week in training. You could do it in training, right? You could do it in training, and players do what they're asked to do in training because they want to get in that team to start the game on a Saturday or a Wednesday or a Thursday in our case, right? Once you cross that line, though, to carry out those instructions is all down to you. The manager could do everything. Now, how can a manager train you to finish a one-on-one opportunity in front of goal? How can that be his fault? This is my thing, right? Saka, it's not the first time he's missed a sitter. What game was it when he was clean through and was it Burnley or something like that where he was clean through and he missed, right? It's not the first time. There's a lot of pressure to put on youngsters. He's 19. It's a Europa quarterfinal. Maybe the pressure gets to him, but you can't train a player to do what he's supposed to do, and he should be able to do at the money he's getting. That's my first thing. I will finish this on a positive, I promise you, but I can't see us sacking him regardless. I don't see it happening, and that's the sad thing about it. I don't see it happening.
They have to, Lev, man. It will get to a point where the fans, and Kroenkes have shown in the past that if he gets somewhere that the fans are a bit iffy and this and that, there's a lot of pressure, they will pull the trigger. They have to. For me, the whole fucking lot of them need to go.
Yeah.
Ideally.
I think there's a better team in there than we think, personally. And I think if we had a more experienced manager, we would have done better.
Well, there we go. A better manager would probably get better.
But it would be up and down, Lev. I mean, it's regardless.
We still would be challenging for a 4 or a 6.
We
Finish.
still need to buy the players. That the squad is still weak, regardless of if there's a team in there or not. That team in there is still not consistent. Even the best of, you take the best performance you can from this team, it's still not good enough for what we want to be, which is, the best team in the world. And the second thing I want to say just before we close, based off of Shaheen's point, is if Arteta gets it wrong and we get knocked out next week, don't be surprised if fans go to the stadium and start spray painting and abusing the stadium, because we're getting to the point as fans where we do not know what to do anymore. We've been complaining.
I don't think real Arsenal fans will go and spray in Emirates, man.
No. That might be exaggerated, but
and we're not condoning spraying the Emirates, by the way. Yeah,
of course not.
Other stadiums are available for spraying if you want to.
Exactly, but there's going to be something like the banners or whatever it is, right? It might not be the spraying, but there's going to be something where there's going to be Arteta out, Kroenke out, and it's going to be very toxic, worse than Wenger out, in my opinion. So whatever that may be, I just hope it doesn't happen.
Apparently, the news has come out that Balogun is going to sign a new 4-year contract as well.
Yeah.
Well, then play him for the rest of the season.
This is typical Arsenal Football Club.
Play him for the rest of the season.
Night, you put out a good news. So just
you know what?
Dilute it a little bit.
I'm glad we're keeping him playing for the rest of the season. Why has he not dropped Eddie out of the equation and put Balogun in his place? That's another question.
Well, he has dropped Eddie.
Yeah, but what? He hasn't replaced him with Balogun. He's given Eddie enough chance. Yeah. And Balogun looks like the most ruthless for me of all the strikers we have. But look, we're gonna wind this up. Listen, guys, if you haven't subscribed already, please do so. As you see, we're gonna be trying our best. We're a fan channel, right? We're not about making money and this, that. We're a fan channel. We just want to bring the best shows we can to the fans and get answers for you as well. We're just like you guys, right? All we've done is we've set up a channel, and it keeps us occupied during this difficult time. So please subscribe if you haven't already. We're going to have some big shows. We've got Fabrizio coming at 3:00. So, this is a perfect segue for that show. And hit your likes, put your notifications on. The
it
positive
helps us, guys, it helps us
does.
when you press the like button and all of these things. And as Lev said, we're trying to create shows that are interesting for you guys. We've got Fabrizio in about 2 hours for another live show. You can come and ask questions in the comments. We'll try to ask him. At the end of the day, we need your help to progress this channel.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, we sit there just like you guys and we go, what is it we want answers to right now? And, we try to get these shows, to get these answers. So hopefully today we'll have some positivity. I'll end the show on a positive. We're still in it. That's the positive. Boys and girls, we're still in this competition. Yes, we've had a bad performance, but there was plenty out there to show that we can beat them next week. If we play the similar way and take our chances, we should do this, right? So, look, we're in it for next week. I don't really care what happens in the Premier League. I think you should just play the likes of your Baloguns and people like that. Give them their chance. See if maybe Balogun comes through.
Can I just read this out?
Yeah, of course you can.
Duncan is he's normally here on our show. He said, "I'll send super chat if I had money, guys." Brother, you see, I read out your comment. As Lev said, we're not here to make money, and this. If you want to send a super chat, it's much appreciated. If you don't send the super chat, it doesn't mean you're not going to get read out. I've just read out your comment. So don't worry about it. Just the fact that you're here, you're watching us and you're supporting us.
That's credit,
that's
man.
Enough, man.
That's respect to Duncan Dubs. I love the name as well, bro. So guys, 3:00, be here. Fabrizio will be on. We're going to ask him as many questions as we can. Curtis Shaw will be on with us as well to ask those questions. We try to get the best, people we can to ask questions. African will be with us because I know he's going to ask some serious questions. He's already sent me a list that I've had to try and trim down. So come here, 3:00. The Fabrizio show will be at 3. Like, subscribe, notifications on, and that's going to be it for us. Anyone else want to finish off with anything before we go? I'm so glad we've got all this negativity out.
Shaheen, you have something to say? No, my thing is you're 100% roller coaster FC. We can go next week and win 5-0 in this whole podcast, this whole conversation. The questions will always still remain, but I mean, we just keep going through this roller coaster, and I really hope that we win next week because I don't want to go through this whole toxicity and this whole negative thing. We want Arsenal to succeed. As fans, that's all we want. We don't care who's there, who's sitting there, who, what, when, where, which players. We just want to win trophies.
Exactly. You heard it from African. We want our Arsenal back. But for the meantime, join us at 3:00 on Roller Coaster FC Lounge, where we will be discussing more about the transfers. with Fabrizio. So see you at 3. I'm Lavanja. This has been the Arsenal Lounge. Peace out.